Hey y'all, I'm so excited to bring you with me as we make some Ninja Turtle cookies for my nephew's birthday party. He's super into Ninja Turtles and these were such a fun set to create. So if you're looking for some inspiration for a fun, sweet boy's birthday party, these are great. I'm going to be using my airbrush in this video, so if you're wanting to learn more about airbrushing sugar cookies, this will be a great tutorial for that. I'm also going to be dipping some sugar cookies. It's kind of an alternative to flooding, so that'll help out a little bit if you want to learn a couple new techniques. Now, if you're new to cookie decorating and you want to learn all of the royal icing techniques and how to go from, I think I might want to try decorating cookies, to I understand what techniques to use to bring my ideas to life, then you want to check out the cookie classroom. That's a course I created a few years ago, and it is now available with pay what you can pricing. So you can get in for as little as $1 or pay as much as you'd like to, because those course hosting fees, all that, as long as I'm coming out making the course hosting fees enough to keep it going, I'm a happy camper. But it's available to you. You can go to sarahgracecookieco.com and click on Cookie Classroom and learn all the royal icing techniques that I know anyway so far. I've taught all of those to you. I teach the SG scoop method, where it's how to get the right icing consistency. I teach you how to do wet on wet design, watercolor, all of that stuff with royal icing. So it's a very affordable, very easy way to get started. And as a former first grade teacher, I love to break things down in a way that is simple and easy to follow. And I say former first grade teacher, but I now homeschool my boys who are in first grade. So I'm still breaking things down into their simplest parts every single day, whether it's with cookie decorating or homeschool. So go check out Cookie Classroom if you'd like. I've got some more resources there on sarahgracecookieco.com to help you. Let's get into these Ninja Turtle decorated sugar cookies. Today we're working on a set of Ninja Turtle cookies for my nephew's birthday party. And it's a bit of a challenge because I forgot to order piping bags and I'm down to 2 piping bags. So my solution was to draw out a plan with all the cookie decorating techniques I have at my disposal and use some of the other decorating techniques to help me get some really cute cookies without using a ton of piping bags. So we're starting by dipping these square cookies into some plain white icing. I'm going to add some detail to these with my airbrush shortly. I'm just dipping this into this icing and then giving it a little turn back and forth and then setting it back on the tray. I'm going to dip a couple, 2 to 3 at a time, with this same process, and then I'm going to go through with my scribe tool and break up any air bubbles that I see before moving on to the next ones. I'm using my funfetti or birthday cake cookie recipe today. You can find that on sarahgracecookieco.com or in one of my previous videos. I'm using my scribe to just go through and make sure that the surface is smooth on these. When I opened up this icing that I'd already mixed to the dipping consistency, I noticed that it had quite a few air bubbles. So I went through with my scribe and just popped all of those inside the bowl before I started dipping. You can see that these are starting to develop a few more air bubbles as we go. It seems to me that the thinner the icing is, the more likely it is to have air bubbles. So with this thin, dippable consistency, that is something that I notice happens a lot. So we want to work quickly with this icing before it dries to get those air bubbles popped. But I do also intend to have something else on these so that the air bubbles aren't too noticeable. And some blue. And some purple, because my boys tell me that there's a blue and a purple Ninja Turtle. You're gonna hear my kids in the background. That's just part of the channel. It is what it is. They're here playing. It's a Saturday. We're having fun. Yeah. So I'm gonna squirt all these colors around just on the surface. I don't want them too mixed in because I don't want it to all be incorporated. Then they'll mix together. I'm gonna go ahead and dip these little star-shaped cookies and see what kind of effect we get. That's turned out cute. It made like this little flowy design. I like it. Oh. I'm so cool. Cute. Scooch these cookies over to the side to dry until they're ready for the next step. Then I'm going to take out my circle-shaped cookies here, and I'm going to start popping and flooding on them with the green 20-second consistency. Now I have other videos about how to make royal icing, how to mix it to the correct consistency with water. I'm using tipless popping bags, and I've used some green satin ice gel food coloring to color this. Now to get my tipless popping bag ready to pop, I'm just going to smooth out the end so that the seam is on the top of the triangle. Then I'm going to pinch it a little bit, use my scissors to snip just a little ways back. You can start with a little and then do a little more. And I'm going to start by just popping a circle. It does not have to be perfect. We can always adjust what it looks like with our scribe tool. Then I'm going to increase the pressure. I'm starting with not very much pressure at all. Then I'm going to increase the pressure that I'm applying to my popping bag. And I'm going to go around that circle and just keep going around and around until I reach the center and the cookie is full. This is the process of popping and flooding, and it's how we achieve that nice smooth surface on the top of our cookies with royal icing. Then I'm using my scribe tool. It looks like this. It's like a long needle with a handle. And I'm using that to kind of guide and shape the icing toward that outer circle that we made at the start. Some people call this standing and flooding. Some people call this outlining and flooding. But it's all the same principles. You want to work kind of quickly so that that icing doesn't dry out, because royal icing does form a crust. And I use my scribe tool to just kind of adjust any little imperfections. I am terrible at popping circles. I've never been good at popping circles. So I just use this to kind of adjust that. You can give the cookie a little shake and a tap to smooth everything out a bit, and that is how we pop and flood. I'm going to finish up these green cookies by popping and flooding them, and then we'll be ready to let those dry until we move on to the next step. Something to remember when popping is that you're looking ahead to where your bag is going. Rather than trying to hold it down on top of the cookie and use it like a pencil. You're kind of thinking about it like a string that you're pulling up into the air and guiding around the edge of the cookie. I like to keep a paper towel, a wet paper towel and a dry paper towel close at hand so that I can wipe my scribe tool off, especially if I'm going to be using multiple colors. You want to be sure that you can clean that scribe tool between colors so that they don't all blur together. dry, I'm using my airbrush sprayer here. This is the Sweet and Magical airbrush sprayer. My mom got this for me for Christmas one year and it has been fantastic. And it's really come in handy today since I didn't have a whole lot of piping bags. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to airbrush the outside of these cookies and create like a cool green, red, purple, blue effect around the outside of the cookie, and then write my nephew's name in the center. Using a Miller color. There we go. Yep. So I put the food coloring in here. I'm starting with low. Woo! I'm just doing the top corners in orange.